Hey to all you shiny rock lovers out there. Check out this big pile of rocks. Where do these come from? Well, these were all found by my fiance, Kendra, out in West Texas. And she asked me to tumble them her way. And by that I mean, she likes her rocks to look very natural, not to be smooth and, well, artificial looking, having spent weeks and sometimes months in the coarse grit. So I took these rocks, most of which, like I said, she found out in West Texas, and I ran them through 3, I think, different stages in the vibratory tumbler, so they didn't get any significant coarse grit tumbling at all. I still managed to get a little bit of a shine on these. You know, not a great shine, but a decent shine. What I'm going to do in this video is show you some of these, because as it turns out, tumbling rocks her way actually makes for some beautiful rocks. So let's take a look at some of the more interesting ones. Check out this beautiful agate here. This is the coarse side, which, as you can see, it does take a shine in spots, but then look at this side here. Ooh, let's get the glare off of it. There, you can see that beautiful banding in there, that wonderful blue color. So all in all, I'm happy with the way this one turned out. Tumbled her way. And here's another West Texas agate. Look at some of the detail in there. Isn't that pretty? Sure, it's not a flawless tumble. In spite of that, though, it's kind of a cool rock, don't you think? Now here you can see one that only polished on those high spots, right? It was some agate nodule, little biscuit or something. Look at the inside, though. Isn't that pretty? I do like that. It's got some nice quartz on it as well. I find this one really interesting. Check out some of the details in it. Look at that stringy mossiness in there. Yeah. I'm very happy with the way this one turned out. In spite of it being so coarse, check out that right in there. That little white stringy thing within that red thingy. Forgive me for using such technical terms. Thingy. On this big guy, you can see how the quartz itself did not take a great shine. A decent shine, but not a great shine. However, this other side does show the chalcedony, which does take a great shine, even though it's very rough looking. I still like the way that turned out. This rock appears to be an opal of some type. Probably dendritic opal, looking at it. I believe that's what that is. Sure, you can make that out right up there and over there and down there. It also looks to have, is that just brown chalcedony? I can't really tell. Well, this is an interesting looking rock, isn't it? This one doesn't look like much on this side, but check out this side here. It has some of this red residue banding left on here, for lack of a better description. As you can see, had this one been tumbled more smoothly, all of that would be gone. So, score 1 for Kendra's style of rock tumbling. She threw in a couple of these slabs, and they actually did take a pretty good shine. I remember when she found this big old rock out at the Coconut 06 Ranch, we tried to slab it, and it just broke apart. However, those little broken slab pieces managed to tumble up nicely. Check out the pattern in there. That's quite nice if you can look past all of those fractures. She had a couple of these little sagenitic rocks in here. Unfortunately, though, because they have those tiny little pits in there, you can see some of the polish residue, that white stuff got stuck in there. And I put these in the ultrasonic cleaner, but that's as clean as it would get. Still, look at the top there. That's interesting, right? I really like these agates a lot. I think the combination of colors do really well. As you can see, it's got the banding and that very light blue-gray chalcedony, surrounded by that, let's just call it West Texas brown mossy agate. Ah, good combination. Now this rock is kind of interesting in that it has this outer shell, which didn't take much of a shine, very little in fact, even on the high points. But the other part of the rock is made up of this quartzy chalcedony thingy. And it looks pretty good. This almost looks like some sort of, like an hors d'oeuvre you'd get at a fancy party. I wouldn't recommend eating it. I don't know, maybe it's good. Your teeth probably would regret it. And here's another one that only polished on those high points, as you can see, but then check out the inside. I like that. Those little bots in there, little botryoidal bumps, and all that rich chalcedony around there. Yeah, that's a good rock. Not bad. I actually think this one might be better tumbled her way. Because this little Texas biscuit was fairly smooth to start with, it mostly shined up nicely. As you can see, it didn't take much time to get shiny because the surface was already really smooth. So I like the way this one turned out. I wonder though what it would look like were we to cut it open. Would this one have banding in it or be plain or maybe be filled with quartz? I can't really tell. Doesn't matter what I think. This is Kendra's rock. She'll decide what to do with it next. Now this one has a really interesting shape to it. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't grind this one down. Look at those little, oh gosh, inclusions. Look like almost dendritic. What a fun shape. Looks like it was just some little agate nodule out there in West Texas. Now it's been through the ringer and this is what we see. Mind you, this was probably all white at the very beginning. You can still see the remnants of the white. That, by the way, is not leftover polish. That's just the skin of the rock. Oh, look at that little stringy section there. That's cool, right there. That's quite nice. Now here's an example of a rock that I think would have been better suited tumbled my way as opposed to her way. Because as you can see, it has a lot of nice color in it. It's probably some sort of jasper. But because of all that white husk that's still on there, you really can't enjoy it. It took an okay shine, of course. It's a hard material. But don't you think this one would look better tumbled Scott's way? In other words, spent weeks in the coarse grit. It would have been smaller for sure. But I think these colors and pattern would be easier to appreciate. Here's another good example of one that probably could have cooked a little bit longer in the coarse grit. As you can see, there's still plenty of that white husk or shell left on there. This is one that she had cut. So notice how the cut surface looks pretty good. Oh, to be fair, this looks pretty good as well. I like that contrast, actually. It's certainly not unattractive. Check out this beautiful carnelian-looking agate here. And then it has the quartz in it. I love that color. That is gorgeous. That probably is carnelian, right? What else would be that color? I don't know. Now here's one of her rocks that did not take much of a shine at all. It's more of a matte finish, but it's still a good looking rock. And I think I have tumbled one or two of these the way I normally tumble them, and they just don't take a great shine. Actually, this one's tumbled fairly smoothly anyway. It's probably a softer stone, and it did smooth out rather quickly, and therefore did not take much of a shine. This busy rock is interesting, right? It's got lots going on, but the best part of all, well, first of all, you can see some banding there, but look at the banding right over here. Let's see if we can get that up there. Right in there, you can see some color in there, right? I just can't get the light on it just right. I think you see what I'm talking about. You can tell there's some pink in there and, oh gosh, maybe yellow? It's hard to say. Such a busy rock. I find this little rock rather interesting. Check out the pattern in there. Are those plumes that we have just seen cut sort of head on? That's why you don't see the pluming. That's kind of what I think. It's hard to say for sure, but that's what it looks like to me. I remember when she cut this rock. It doesn't look like much from this side, but check out the inside. Wow. That's a pretty rock. She cut this after we had completed a series of rock off contests. That's where we each pick out a rock that we found and cut them in half and compare them. Well, a lot of her rocks didn't do so well. So after the game officially ended, she grabbed a handful more and started cutting them. And one of them was this one. And I said to her, sure, that would have been a good contestant, but you didn't enter it. I love how it has that little opal in there with what looks like some sort of waterline banding, but it's exactly perpendicular to the upper and lower banding. So how does that happen, all you geologists out there? Here's another sagenitic agate. This one I think would have done better had it tumbled longer in the coarse grit, because as you can see, it has a lot of spots for that polish to get stuck in those tiny little, see them there, those tiny little openings there. And even with the ultrasonic cleaner, I couldn't get it clean. Cool rock though. I do love sagenite. I just think it's beautiful. Those sprays and tubes and all that stuff in there. This one might be worth starting over again, getting it back in a barrel, making it a little smoother than this and then trying to polish it again. This rough looking rock has a lot to offer on this side. Check out the mossiness in there. Yep, that's pretty stuff. The colors, the pattern, ooh, I like it, even though it's a little rough for my taste. Here's another one that I remember she cut at one point just to see what it'd be like on the inside. Now, there's not a lot going on in there, a little bit, but not a lot. What I like about this are the big old spots on top there. That's interesting looking. Actually, this side's pretty interesting looking as well. I like how just the very tips of these ridges took somewhat of a polish. I think that's interesting. Here's a big old biscuit that got somewhat of a polish on it. And all that whiteness you see right there, that's not the polishing compound. That's not the aluminum oxide. That was actually white when we started. And those spots just never could grind at all. Too bad. It's a cool rock. Well, if you're into quartz especially. Nice geode pocket there. Plenty of chalcedony. And all those interesting patterns that are formed in there. Trust me though, I did try to clean all that white off and it doesn't come off. That's just part of the stone. Now this piece of quartz doesn't look like much on this side. However, when you flip it over and you get it just right, you can see it has some banding within that chalcedony. That's nice. I'll take that all day long. And some inclusions in there, a little bit of color. Yeah. So this top half saves it from this plain old quartzy bottom half. I just picked this one up and I said, that looks familiar. And I looked over to where I piled the rocks that I've already reviewed and I saw this one. I thought, oh yeah, I already showed this one. So clearly these two belong together. One of those that she cut. It's kind of nice. I like the way that turned out. What do you think? Just 3 more to go. Let's start with this one here. It has some great banding in it, but as you can see, it has some, in this case, I'm pretty sure that's polish stuck in there that didn't come out even with the ultrasonic cleaner, which is too bad, because otherwise it's really cool with all that great banding in it. This big guy has some nice polished highlights to it, and a lot of very rough, tumbled areas, the way she likes it. As you can see, that top part barely took any shine at all, even those peaks. But the edges did okay. And the bottom looks, presentable. And I must end on this little jewel right here. She found a little banded agate that has that shadow banding in it. Let's see if we can do it here. You can sort of see it there. Yeah, let me see if we can do this side. Yeah, I think you can see it. At least I'm seeing it looking at the screen on my phone. It's very small. This is one that I would like to have tumbled longer, but it is small, so hate to get it too small. So let's just be happy with what we got in the end, right? Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I think we got some nice rocks tumbled her way. This is the way Kendra likes them, and I think they look good as well. Hope you enjoyed this, and once again, thank you for watching.